Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Chat, are you alive? I have a different background here today. That's your first clue for things being very, very different on this launch. We had, uh, like, SpaceX basically bombed me. I wanted to do a trip to Germany for 6 days. I wanted to visit some friends and have some fun and go to STech in the Netherlands for the ESA Open Day. And then right in the middle, SpaceX decided to have Flight 11. And so I am not in the United States. I am in Germany in the studio of a team member. You might know this background already from the last live stream. I have a guy sitting right next to me here. If we can bring him back, if we can bring him into the picture, he's like literally next to me. That's the guy. Look at this. Look at this. He's right there. It's Cris, of course, and we are getting ready for Flight 11. We shouldn't have any technical problems today. I saw your message, though. We're not taking any bets on what technical problems we're going to have today. So far, everything's fine, and that is exactly how it's going to stay. We're waiting for SpaceX to launch Flight 11. For everybody who doesn't know what we're doing here, this is a live view of SpaceX's Starship, the OG OLM Pad 1. It's the last launch we're ever going to see from this configuration of pad. We have booster 15-2, we have ship 38 on the top, and we are very likely and hopefully going to see exactly what we saw on Flight 10 with a few small improvements and differences that we're going to talk about in detail later on. One thing that I'm even not very sure what SpaceX is exactly doing, maybe somebody in the chat knows, but we have a ritual here on our Starship launch streams. Put into the chat where you're from. I do this so that the community sees that there are people from all around the planet watching this. And I hope that there's going to be lots of Europeans here because it's late. It is very late. It's so late that my Apple Watch doesn't want to tell me how late it is anymore because it's already in sleep mode. So the chat is already going. We have somebody from Serbia, we have Michigan, we have France, we have Finland, we have the UK, Syria, we have Ottawa, Canada, we have the UK again, we have Aachen, Germany, we have Grand Rapids, Michigan. Welcome to the chat. And now it is going so quick that I can barely read it anymore. It's just absolutely amazing. Thank you everybody for showing up, and thank you for showing everyone else that this is a global phenomenon. This community is coming from everywhere. It's not from a single country. It's spanning the entire globe, and the reason for that is that this might be a very, very important development that SpaceX is doing here. If Starship works, it might change everything. It's not going to just be about Artemis 3, which is hopefully coming up soon. It is going to be big, and that's the reason why everybody wants to watch it. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in with us today again. We're going to have a party today. It's the last launch of the year, very likely. I don't expect SpaceX to do another one this year because they are doing the largest upgrade that they've done so far since the high altitude flight tests, basically. The first 11 launches or 10 launches and today's 11th launch are all with, well, it was version 1, and then now we have version 2 on the pad, and soon we're going to have version 3, but version 3 brings so many changes that it's the largest upgrade that they've ever done. They're going to use a new engine. They're going to use new configurations largely on the booster. They're going to use major upgrades on the ship. They're going to have a completely different pad. So everything's going to change come Flight 12. So this one is a very special one because it's the last of the OG launches, basically. It's what we've seen since Flight 1. This is the pad. This is what happened. And on the next one, everything's going to change. What we can hope for today is more heat shield testing. And my personal favorite is I want to see the payload deployment again. And I want to see some improvements on the PEZ dispenser. Last time we saw them bump the dumblinks, as SpaceX calls them. They're Starlink test satellites, basically, and they're 8 in the PEZ dispenser. And when they deployed them, they hit the payload door, meaning that the PEZ dispenser transferred momentum from from the Pez dispenser itself to the satellite when it let go of them. And that made them move slightly as they drifted out of the payload door. And that's the biggest thing for me today. I want to see them improve this, because if we want to see payload deployments, that problem needs to disappear. What do you say, Cris? What's your favorite for today?
My favorite for today is really enjoying this really bonkers launch table that they built there for the last time, because we all know that it was a strange design decision. We see it in we've seen it. I mean, we've seen how they built the second pad and already changed it back to more traditional ways. And so I really just want to see the fire being split by these legs one more time, and just enjoy that it was there, because in the future, this is going to be like ancient tech. This is what they tried. We're gonna look back at it and think it's a silly idea, but it looked so promising. And yeah, I want to just give it a nice farewell and just see a nice, smooth final launch from this pad.
Yeah, the omnidirectional exhaust, that is very, very unique to this pad design. You don't have a flame trench, and so the photographers hate it. But for everybody, especially for the people watching this in person, shout out to Raptor Roost, everybody there who's tuning into us right now. You're in for a show once again. The original pad that we see here, it dissipates the exhaust into every direction. That is really bad for photographers, because they want to have that clean ignition shot, which is almost impossible to get here, because the rocket gets engulfed by all the smoke and dirt and everything that it throws up into the air. But it is something very, very special that is going to go away with this one. So yeah, totally agreed. This is the last one. After this, we're going to have the regular flame trench pads. Which in my opinion is the right direction to go, because this was a test and it didn't work very well. I was there for flight 1 when they dug a tunnel under it. I saw in slow motion these huge chunks of concrete being ejected out of it. They fixed that with the deluge plate that they have under it, but it was a hot fix for a design that was troubled from the beginning on. So yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Flight 12 is going to be very, very interesting. We have a third host today, who's already waiting in the back end. I can see her, and if she wants to be on screen right now, we can put her on. Okay, she's working on her camera. She says, "I think she looks perfect."
Of course she does.
She always does. I was able to convince her. All right, give me a second. There she is. Okay, so that's the third one. Of course, we
Thank you
have
for
a
having me.
fourth one. We have a fourth one here as well. Jonathan is in the background, but he's busy doing the tech right now. He's going to be on screen later. He's waving to us right now. Hi, honey. How are you doing?
Hi,
Miss you.
I miss you too. I brought a guest, and he's wearing the launch head in honor today the whole time. So we have done our utmost possible to give Starship the ritual that it needs to just lift off today and have a successful flight.
The launch head is something that you need to explain. There's a story behind this. It disappeared after, I think, flight 4 or so is the last time we saw this on our live streams. It was given to me by Gene, a dear friend of mine from Starbase. If you're watching, Gene, shout out to you. Thank you so much for this hat. It became a kind of a running gag. I got this in Boca Chica at the first time I went there. They threw a little party for me, and Gene gave me this hat. And then after that, I went back home and I put it on just to honor the present that they gave me, and it turned into the launch hat. And for the first few live streams, I wore this every time when the rocket launched. And of course, it's still there. So anybody who still remembers the launch hat, there it is. And it's being worn by a very strange skeleton that we bought for Halloween. And it's been scaring us in the house for the last few days. It is crazy. Every time I turned around the corner and I saw this guy standing, and yeah, Steffi is laughing right now because this hit everybody in the family.
Yeah.
Like a few times per day, you will hear a scream in the house. It's because that guy is doing his job. He really is.
And
You forget that he's there.
And everybody in the family at some point just picks him up and carries him somewhere else.
Yeah, we've got
He's just
pictures of him
there.
cooking or of him doing all sorts of stuff in the household at this point.
Yeah.
He's become a part of the family. And so now
Yeah.
he's part of Flight 11.
Launch hat.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing we can talk about here with the launch, for anybody who knows this, who's seen launches before, this is a traditional thing. You see the grass vent has started. That is this vapor that comes flying in under Stefanie's picture there, towards the middle of the screen right now. That this means that the tank farm is spooling up and that SpaceX is starting to cool down lines and so on and so forth. So they're in preparation mode. You see the countdown in the corner over there is 1 hour and 29 minutes until the launch window opens. That doesn't mean we're going to necessarily see a launch at that time. It is when the launch window opens. And I think today the launch window is 2 hours long. So you can add 2 hours to this timer. That's the latest at which SpaceX will have to have this Starship launched. But traditionally, they launch towards the beginning of the launch window, if they launch at all. Last time it took them 3 tries. We had 2 scrubs, and then the third attempt worked out. I hope that they're going to do this on the first try today, because I'm on vacation in Germany and I want to go visit my dad at some point. But of course, I'm streaming this because it is a very special launch, as Cris has already said. Any Starship fan connects so many memories with this stool that the Starship is sitting on there right now. It's what started this crazy journey of seeing Starships launch into the sky. And this is the last one. And so we're going to honor this pad today before it likely disappears really quick. SpaceX has already started the disassembling process of the pad. They started removing a few parts that they are not going to use for this launch. I expect this pad to disappear weeks after the launch. They're likely going to start this immediately after the rocket is gone. So basically, when the smoke clears, this pad has done its job. It's done 11 launches, and it's an old design. It was a try. It was a test. It's an iteration of what's to come. What's to come, it's right next to it. If we can we move the camera real quick to pad 2?
And do you think the rocket's going to help this time with disassembling the pad again? Or?
I hope not. I hope this is going to work out like the last time. The last launch felt so good. We, like any Starship fan knows, we've been through some trouble this year.
Oh,
Version
yeah.
2 gave SpaceX some serious problems, but that is why you do testing. You want to find these problems and you want to solve them. And V2 gave them things to solve, that's for sure. It gave them all sorts of things to solve. Engine problems, construction problems, vibration problems, vents that shouldn't vent, and ullage gas thrusters that didn't want to thrust. Like, they had it all. They had everything. And they refined the design, of course. So the first version 2 Starship isn't the last version 2 Starship that you see here on the pad right now. So this has all sorts of changes, and it leads to version 3. And that's what is going to be on Flight 12. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it, because next year there are some big ticket items. If version 3 works out, which I really, really hope. I'm really hoping that we're not going to see the same chain of problems that we saw this year. If version 3 works out somewhat reliably, we are in for a big, big show next year. We're in for in-orbit refueling. We are in for possibly tests towards the moon. SpaceX is still saying they want to do this next year. And it's needed for Artemis 3, which is supposed to happen at some point. What's the set launch date for Artemis 3 right now, Cris?
It's 27. So are they still on 27?
27?
Did they
I
put
thought
a month
26.
down?
What?
No, it's 27. Artemis 2 is launching in 26. In February, that's what they said right now, and I'm already invited for a launch viewing for that. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it launch the second time. You can say anything about SLS, with the exception of it's not impressive to see it launch. It is a I was never right there. It's right there in the background. I can see it. Where is it? Yeah, exactly. I've never had the pleasure of seeing a shuttle launch, and SLS basically is the shuttle on steroids. It has one more engine. It has larger boosters. It is a huge show. It produces an incredible amount of noise and everything. it kind of, if Starship is a lightsaber, SLS is a chainsaw. That's what it feels like seeing it launch, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm very much looking forward to Artemis 2, even though I am not the biggest fan of the construction itself, because of course I do think that reusing a rocket is a really good thing, especially after SpaceX demonstrated it so well. They've already caught super heavy. In fact, we are seeing 15-2 booster 15-2 on the pad today, which means this is the second flight of booster 15. It's already been caught. It's flight proven hardware. Isn't it even the third? No, it's the third flight, right, of booster 15. No, it's the second flight of booster 15, and that means that this design, even before entering version 3, it's already validated. They've flown, caught, and reflown a booster, which is absolutely amazing. And anybody still building on non-reusable rockets, change your course of development. The time of non-reusable rockets is coming to an end, and that's another good reason to watch an SLS launch. So if you have the time in February, come down to the Cape. It is absolutely worth it, even though it is non-reusable and it's likely a dying kind of rocket. It is absolutely worth watching it launch, especially when you have astronauts sitting on top that are supposed to go around the moon. So much for SLS.
I've got a question.
What is it?
Like, if
Yes.
Artemis launches in 2027, how high are the possibilities that SpaceX is going to send a Starship towards the moon next year?
Well, they'll have to. If they want to land somebody on the moon in 27, they will absolutely have to do tests in 26. This timeline might shift, though. HLS is, of course, in development. All sorts of components of HLS are already in development, even though you don't see it at Starbase yet. That is a kind of, it paints a wrong picture. You see Starbase developing the Starship as you can see it on the pad here right now. That does not mean that they are not working on HLS in parallel. The Human Landing System, HLS. That is, if you don't know, that is what NASA contracted to SpaceX. It's supposed to land astronauts on the moon. So they are going to launch on SLS, fly to the moon in an Orion capsule, dock to the HLS Starship, transfer over into it, and then land on the moon and ascend in it again as well. And you cannot do that on the first try. You have to do demonstration flights for this. And so if SpaceX still wants to do this in 27, they will absolutely have to do tests in 26. But, and that's why I explained this whole thing right now, this is a test vehicle. This plan might change. It's not set in stone that they're going to do this in 27, and NASA has already uttered concerns about HLS being late, and they might very well be right. My viewpoint on this is a little different. If you've seen Y episodes in recent weeks, I've had it as a topic as well. I do think that even if it is late, the added capability of Starship is absolutely worth waiting. And it was, frankly, if you develop the largest rocket in the world and it's fully reusable, delays are included. They're not to be expected, they are included, and they're absolutely happening, and it is absolutely normal because they have to find out what they're doing, and this means delays. And so here's your delay. I don't expect Artemis 3 to happen in 27. I know the chat is probably going to go crazy about this because hardcore fans, of course, want this deadline to not shift. But my assessment right now is that it is going to shift. It's worth waiting, though.
The chat is going crazy about what is zoomed in right now. Why is there a Zeppelin? And Spencer Mack even asked, like in a super chat, "Hey, Felix and Cris, what's going on with the blimp? Think there is a camera on board?"
Yeah, that's a blimp. That's border control. This is a U.S. government balloon, basically. It's a balloon attached to the ground with tethers. And it is there to just survey the area. There are cameras on it, absolutely, yes. You can see this like a surveillance outpost. They have cameras under it and they survey everything, and they do this every time during a launch just to have another eye in the sky, to check the area, to check the range, to make sure that there is nobody getting close to this who's not supposed to. So yes, there are very sophisticated cameras attached to this. It sees everything.
Yeah, also it's a perfect stable platform.
We have already had a loose blimp though as well, where they didn't anchor it in place and it just flew away. So I really hope that this one is going to stay in place and do its job. But yeah, this is a tradition that we've seen on many, many Starship launches. You always see this blimp in the background. Oh, by the way, I need to do a few shout outs. First shout out goes to My Radar. They are sponsoring this live stream as they do so often, and we are very, very appreciative of this. It is a weather app. You can download it for free on Android, on Apple. You can get it for your PC. And I am a pilot, and even before they started sponsoring us, it was my go-to app. And there's a reason for it. Yeah, scan the QR code on the screen, yada, yada. It is one of the best weather apps out there, and it is completely for free, and it is absolutely worth a try. Thank you so much for sponsoring us. My next shout out goes to Raptor Roost. Raptor Roost is a place that is our base for our photographers. We do all sorts of things there. I've watched launches from there. It is the closest you can get to a Starship launch when you're on site. So if you ever decide to go to Starbase to watch one with your own eyes, which I very, very much recommend if you haven't done so yet, it is so worth the trip. Go to raptor-roost.com and get yourself a ticket for the next launch. It's absolutely worth it. Shout out to Keith. Thank you so much for the partnership. Without you guys, we couldn't do it. The next one goes to redlineheli.com. Yes, we found many, many friends at Starbase that work together with us. Jax, you and your team rock absolutely. It's the helicopters we take our aerial pictures with that you see on our episodes. And if you want to see the same things, go to redlineheli.com/Felix. Get $25 off a flight. It is absolutely worth it. Okay, so with that, we've done our shout outs. Like the stream, if you've just joined us. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not done yet. That was from the off. Like the stream, if you haven't done that yet, that is very, very important for us because the algorithm picks it up and it shares it with more people. And that is our mission here at What About It. I want to show the world, we want to show the world what is happening in Boca Chica because it might change the entire history of humankind. And I think people should know, you know. So like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. This helps us even more. Go to patreon.com and become a supporter and so on and so forth. And last but not least, if you want us to try to tackle your absolutely complex question that we're going to completely fail answering, type #question into the chat and we will do our absolute best of answering your curious questions about Starship, about anything that surrounds SpaceX, about us if you want to. So anything goes. We're of course going to filter it. So don't write anything nasty or inappropriate. We're not going to answer those. And if you want to bump your question up, combine it with a super chat. We do prefer those. We do bump you up in the list, of course, if you directly support us, because that's one of the most important things at What About It. Without your direct support, nothing would work out here. And so the super chats are bumping up in the list. And normally, and I can already see this happening again, this ends in us not stopping to talk until we have ignition, because you guys always have so many beautiful and brilliant questions that we just keep answering them. And that's what we're going to start with right now. So let me just look over here. Is this a slightly different setup here? I'm not in my studio, but I should be able to do this. So we have Spencer Mack. Let me just put you on screen here. Can we do that real quick? All right, here you go. Spencer Mack, thank you so much for your super chat. Hey, Felix and Chris, what's going on with the blimp? Okay, so we answered that. It is basically an advanced surveillance system. It is there to watch the range, they're helping SpaceX out. They have this equipment down there anyway, and they bring it up for a launch to just have even more eyes up to make very, very sure that nothing bad happens on a launch day. Because for people that might want to do something bad, this is a really, really good moment to do it. And you want to keep them from doing that, and that's what the blimp is basically for. It's a very, very advanced surveillance system, even though it's just a balloon, but it has a lot of tech on it.
I love the next one. Yeah, read it out loud.
It's the Missy? Missy?
No, it's Bazinga.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I have Missy now. I have Missy. I'm sorry. I've got the next one was Missy, and you told me to bring the next one up. So Missy, question. Hi from Maryland. Hope that the ship works through all of its objectives today. When will that first ship catch most likely happen? Yeah, that's a good question. Also, why is there an airship or a blimp in the background? Okay, so the blimp we've answered. It's the surveillance part. And the ship catch is earliest going to happen on flight 13. The reason for that is that SpaceX, or actually 14 right now, was it one clean launch or two? I think it was two. So it would be launch 14 right now. The reason for that is two factors. Condition number one to be met is two clean, complete launches with a Starship. And we should have flight if nothing happens, but there is a second condition, and the second condition, of course, is the current design. And the current design changes on the next flight. We're going to have a V3 Starship, and that resets that first condition. So flights 11 and 10 won't count for version 3 Starships. And so with that, they have to, if flight 12 and 13 work perfectly, flight 14 is going to be the first catch. Do expect problems with V3 though, because it is a brand new design. So it might be that V3 feels like a step back. We of course don't want that. We want version 3 to just go up into space and perform beautifully, but it might happen that V3 feels like a step back because there are so many changes that haven't been tested yet that every major change introduces new problems. And so if this works the way it always does, flight 12 is going to feel like, oh my God, what are they doing? Flight 13 is going to be like, okay, so they're already better again. And with flight 14, we might see a good flight again. That would be my expectation. And that would mean flight 16. So it is really, really hard to say when, but those are the two criteria. Two clean flights with the same design, and then the third one is going to be a ship catch. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so then comes the next one here, which is from Bazinga. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for the generous donation. This is a really, really big, I wish I could show it. I'm clicking on show and it doesn't do anything. There you go. Okay, thank you so much for the huge super chat. This helps the team amazingly. Thank you so much.
Read.
Sorry, Felix and Cris, but we have to properly honor Stefanie, so all the money for her new shoes or whatever she wants. There you go. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
So, honey, now you gotta let people know what your wife wants to buy from that money.
Oh, she wants a dog.
I said you.
I could
really,
instantly answer that.
I really thought you're gonna say donkey now.
No, she also wants a donkey, but we just got a beautiful new cat. She is the coolest ever. She's how old now? 12 weeks or something. So she's the rascal in the house. She's doing a beautiful job of keeping us on our toes. The next thing is going to be a dog. That's probably where this money is going to go to. So thank you very much for funding that. And then after that, she wants a donkey. She wants a horse. She wants 2 cows, and she wants some chicken. So keep the super chats coming. This is at least $30,000 to $40,000 that we're going to need for all the pets that my wife wants. So if you want to keep funding that, be my guest. It's all going to go into our little Y barn. So we have a few plans for the future. Yeah. So the $100 are going to go into a new dog. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that is very, very nice and generous. Okay, so next we have, if this shows, it does not.
Click.
It did. Okay, so we have Rob Trike. Hello, Steffi. Hello, Felix. Hello, Cris. First attempt flight today. Exactly. Yeah. Last time we had 2 scrubs. We're hoping for this to launch on the first attempt because I'm actually on vacation and I would love to continue my vacation. So SpaceX, please do a good job tonight. I have a few things that I had planned for the next few days. Actually, me sitting here with Cris today is beautiful, but it wasn't planned at all. But it's working out and we're having a lot of fun. We've had some beautiful discussions before we started the stream, and it's just amazing I have a few people on my team that have been working with me for years and I haven't met them. So I'm grateful to meet. I have not met Cris in person yet, and it was a delight to meet you, Cris. Thank you so much for having me here in your studio today. I mean, he's like, I want to show this again. These are my hands. So he's want to come over. He's right next to me. We're both in the same studio. that's how we do it here today, and it works out beautifully. His studio is like 10 times as good as mine. He is a nerd. Man, if you would see what I'm surrounded here by now. Normally my setup is really, really basic. I have my PC, I have like 5 screens on it to be able to see everything, but I'm sitting in front of a camera with the 5 screens and a microphone, and that's basically it. It's my work desk, you know? And here you have a full-fledged sound design studio because this guy is in a band and this guy has been doing this on a way more professional level than I have. Like all this, like we are surrounded by equipment. So thank you for having me here in the studio, and yeah, let's hope that this works today because I would really, really like that. Okay, yeah. This one. Yeah, this is, it's not my studio. Then we have Tyler Nevers. Thank you so much for the super chat. Pulled over my semi just to watch this. Really? You're sitting in your semi truck on the side of the road watching the Y stream? Thank you so much for sending this in. This is I've over the past 6 years, since I've been doing the craziest job I've ever done in my life. By the way, thank you so much for tuning in, for giving us this opportunity. I've heard so many curious stories from people who watch the channel, from how it influenced their lives and where they watch from and who they share these memories with and everything. And this is one of those. It's the craziest thing about being a YouTuber is that I know that there are so many people out there that appreciate what we do here on the Y team, but you normally don't meet them. And these live streams are by far the best way for us to experience these stories. So thank you for sending this in. I instantly had a picture of you pulling your semi truck over and watching this on the side of the road. Thanks for sharing this. Thank you so much. This is amazing. They're watching it in a semi truck on the side of the road.
And thank you so much for pulling over before watching us. You're responsible.
Yes. Yes. Very, very. Thank you very much. Nothing to add. Okay, we have Crunch D Grace Hopper. Thank you so much for the generous donation. Do you want to do that one, Cris?
I can do it. Newport Beach, California, from my 5th Tesla round trip to Starbase and 3rd live launch observation, pending in place sighting of the first double catch attempt.
Okay. So you've done it all.
Yep.
I've been to Starbase 4 times now, 5 times, with including the crazy team effort that we did last year with Jonathan and everybody. I think it was 5 times. So you've been there. You've been there as many times as somebody who does this professionally. So well done. Did you make it for this launch? Put it in the chat. I hope you're on site right now. If you're not, make it down for the first flight on pad 2. It's definitely going to be worth it. So we've gone. I want to show you this right now. The back end has just zoomed in on the OLM. What you can see here is a pad vent. This one and the vent at the ship quick disconnect up on the tower, the so-called tower vent. Those are the 2 that show us that SpaceX is actively cooling, chilling the lines. They are pre-chilling the fuel lines on the pad and on the tower itself, meaning they are very, very close. No, they're actually past the fueling decision at this point, right? Yes, they are. They should be 10 minutes past, or 6, 7, 8 minutes past the go decision for propellant load, and they are chilling the lines, which is a good sign. As soon as this vent stops, we know that they have started fueling the Starship and the booster, and so we're going to keep a close eye on the venting. This is the best telltale sign of SpaceX progressing through. Yeah, exactly. Normally they tweet something about this as well. We'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Keep an close eye on those vents. Them starting means SpaceX is pre-chilling the lines. Them stopping again means SpaceX is done with that, which is a very, very good sign for them progressing down the line. Okay, so then next we have Demonicus. Thank you so much for the super chat. Question: Raptor engines use 2 pre-burners to heat up fuel. How much more efficiency would add placing small nuclear reactor for 35 Raptors? So you for heating up the fuel, The pre-burners don't just heat up the fuel. The pre-burners are there to drive the turbopumps. So they pre-burn. It's a pre-combustion. There are two combustion stages in a full flow staged combustion engine, the pre-burner and the main combustion chamber. What happens in the pre-burner is you burn a part of the fuel and you drive the turbopumps with this energy from that burn. So it's not there to heat up the fuel. It is actually there to drive the entire engine. Part of the gas generated in the pre-burners gets redirected back into the tanks for autogenous pressurization and so on and so forth. So it gets more complicated than that. But the pre-burners are there to drive the engines themselves. Those are the engines that drive the engine, basically, because you need to pump a lot of fuel on a Starship engine. And there are other ways of doing this, like Electron, for example, uses electric fuel pumps with batteries. But for a large rocket like a Starship, that is a very complicated thing to do, and it would add a lot of complexity, weight, and so on and so forth. So the pre-burners are the way to go on the Raptor engine, and that's what they use this for. I do not think that putting a nuclear reactor on a rocket is a good idea in general, because especially on a test rocket, because when this thing explodes or breaks apart or the flight termination system is used or anything that makes this thing turn into pieces, you do the same with the reactor. And a reactor, a nuclear reactor, has radioactive material in it, and that you cannot do that. So if you want to send anything radioactive into space, you have to make very, very sure that your launch vehicle is very reliable. So that's the even besides it not being the perfect thing to use as something to drive the turbopumps, it is very, very risky to send anything with radioactive material on a rocket to space. And so they rarely do this. They only do it when they absolutely have to, like energy cells for rovers, for Mars rovers, these kinds of things. Because that's basically, if you don't want to use solar, which gives you very little power, the only way to have something stronger to power your rovers or probes, China has a probe on the far side of the moon, which has been active for how long now? A year or so, maybe even longer, surviving lunar night after lunar night after lunar night. For this, you need nuclear power. But it's also not a reactor. I've done a video about this before. Maybe we can put a link into the chat. It's a very, very interesting topic. But yeah, nuclear reactors on a test rocket is a big, big no-go. If this thing explodes, you're spreading radioactive material over a large area, and you can't even choose pre-explosion where it's going to go. So no, that's a bad thing to do.
Didn't you title it How We Could Nuke Neil Armstrong to Space or something like that?
No, that was even another one.
Oh,
that was
no.
That was Project Orion. That was even crazier.
Yeah.
That's where they wanted to power rockets or spacecraft with nuclear explosions. It's a really, really interesting topic. If you haven't watched that yet, that's a very, very, very good video as well. Very much worth watching. Okay, we have Janine. Thank you so much for tuning in again. She has been a active supporter and fan of What About It for I don't know how long. Thank you so much for being with us again tonight. It's very, very much appreciated. Hello, Y, crew behind scenes, photographers, Richard Gallagher and others. Hello, Stefanie, Felix and Cris. Always a pleasure watching with you all. Much love, and we can just give it back to you. Thank you so much. You're kind of a mascot of this channel at this point. I hope we're going to watch another 20, 30, 40, 50 launches together. Thank you so much for showing up. Okay, we are 1 hour away from a possible ignition. SpaceX, as you can see on the venting, is massively pre-chilling lines. We haven't seen a tweet yet, and I haven't heard anything back from the backhand either. So SpaceX hasn't said anything about the go, no-go decision for fueling yet, but I think this looks pretty good. Every sign we see looks like SpaceX is progressing towards a launch. For anybody who has just joined us, we are seeing Ship 38 and Booster 15-2 sitting on pad 1 for the last launch from this pad. After that, it is very, very likely going to be dismantled and upgraded this in a similar way that pad 2 is almost ready for another launch. The next launch is going to be with a largely different Starship. This is a massive upgrade that we're looking forward to. We're going to see Raptor 3 fly for the first time. We're going to see a much larger Starship with massive changes all over the board. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. But that makes this launch a very special one, because this is the last launch of this original generation of pad, largely the original version of Starship. It's not entirely the same as version 1, but it doesn't have nearly as many changes as version 3 compared to version 2. So this is a whole chapter ending with a new chapter starting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, become a patron if you want to support us even more by going to Patreon, or by joining us by clicking the join button and becoming a member of the channel. This is massively important for us, otherwise we wouldn't keep repeating this. Community funding makes us do less ads, makes us do less sponsorings and all this kind of stuff. It just makes our life way, way easier if the funding comes from the community. So thank you so much for anybody who's already doing this. Massive shout out to MyRadar for sponsoring today's stream. It is a very, very good weather app. I am a pilot and I used MyRadar even before they started sponsoring our channel. They are a really, really good weather app. They are free to download for desktop PCs, for Android phones, for Apple iPhones, whatever. They are covering all the devices. Go check them out. Massive shout out to Raptor Ruse, to the crowd out there. I wish I could join you today again to watch it live and in person. I've done this from Raptor Ruse several times before. It is a beautiful spot to watch a launch. And if you want to go out there and you haven't done this in person yet, do so and go to raptor-ruse.com to get your ticket. It's the best spot to watch it out there. Yeah, and other than that, enjoy the show. This is maybe the last launch of this year, so it's double and triple and quadruple important. And yeah, if you have a question for us, for any one of us, and not just about Starship, also about us personally, write hashtag question and then your question into the chat. If you combine it with a super chat, it is going to be bumped up in the list because active supporters get the first pick, of course. But we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. All right.
Now that we're just in the final hour, the hype train yet? I mean, there's another.
Oh yeah, we have
we just have to get going
just
here.
1 second. We have another tradition. If you want to get the hype train going and you know the Y community, type hype into the chat. I would be honored to kickstart the first hype train of the evening. So type hype into the chat and let's see how far we get this hype train going. I can already see it starting. Yes.
Yes.
Man, I'm so looking forward to this launch. Jonathan, what did you say from the off?
Nothing good.
What?
No, leave the hype train for a second. Please.
So I will real quick take Steffi's spot here. We apparently are on a hold based on SpaceX website right now. So we are holding the countdown at roughly T-1 hour.
Ground support
let's hope
equipment.
That's
the only explanation for that.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's ground support equipment. So they are pre-chilling the lines, and some sensors or valves have given them the wrong value. So keep the hype train going, keep it strong. Flight 11 might need it tonight. This doesn't mean we're not going to see a launch. We've seen many holes before, and they cleared through them. They're just checking things, some sensors, some valves, something has given them some value back that they're not happy with. It's in rocket speech, it's called outside the envelope. So the data that they got back from the sensor or the valve or whatever is not doing the right thing, is outside the envelope, and they're probably just checking right now, and that's why they're on a hold. We want to wait for more information as it comes in, and we're going to keep you in the loop. Okay, so now we have to really go quick because people are going crazy with super chats.
Hype.
No, that's the wrong one. Exactly. Okay, so do you want to do the next one, honey?
Oh, from Christopher Mitchell?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the $100. Wow, you're crazy. Christopher wrote, love what you do. Myself and my coworkers watch every episode. Here's some more snack money. Ooh, that sounds good.
You can do the next one as well. Thank you so much, Christopher. This is a generous donation. Here comes the next one. You can do that as well, honey.
So thank you so much, Jeremy Smith, for donating $50 more towards
No,
the
don't
new
do it.
family member.
No,
Soon
don't
to
do it.
have. Yes, I see it coming.
Oh no. What are we
Tomorrow
doing?
is the day, I feel it, or the day after
No,
tomorrow.
no, no. You will have to wait until I'm back. You will have to wait until I'm back. There's a background story to this. She did this once before when I was at Starbase. She got a dog.
We all got the dog.
Do it. Don't do it. Okay. Next one's for you, Cris.
Tyler Nevers just wrote again and thanks Felix for getting his last name right. You would be surprised how often it's mispronounced. So I just think I did it right. Tyler? Yeah, Nevers it was, right?
Nevers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Shouldn't be that hard.
Nevers? No, Nevers.
You said Nevers?
Yeah, I said Nevers, and I'm staying by what I said.
Yes.
You're very, very welcome. I'm really, really good at butchering names. I've done this so many times, and this was a lucky shot. I was right, and you're praising me. Thank you so much. Sometimes it's really hard, especially when they come from other countries, and I'm trying often. There's our kitty.
Aww.
That's Lilu. She joined us 3 weeks ago at this point, and we've already got her very close to our hearts. She's really cool. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. I really like this cat at this point. Okay, we have Skip Sloan. Thank you so much for your super chat. Looking ahead to Starship launches from Florida. Absolutely, same here. I have some information about that as well. Where do you think will be best viewing sites? Space View Park, Jetty Park, etc. So for a Starship launch, you can stand anywhere in a radius of 30 miles around the pad. Starship, if you haven't seen it in person yet, is a whole other dimension of rocket launch. It is gigantic. You can see it from very, very far away, and you can hear it from very far away. And when a super heavy booster returns, the sonic booms are incredibly loud. So if you live close to the Cape, brace for impact. Starships launching from the Cape is not going to be like Falcon 9s launching from the Cape. But if you wanted to get the best, it depends, of course, from where it launches, and SpaceX is preparing 2 sites, but the first one to kick in is 39A. And if NASA gives SpaceX the same exclusion zone as they do for Falcon 9, the best viewing spot by far that you can reach if you're not a photographer or engineer or NASA employee or anything would be the gantry at the Saturn V Center. There you have a clear view of 39A. You are very, very close to it, and it is almost for free because you only need a ticket into KSC, and then you can just take the bus to the Saturn V Center at the right time, and then you can just sit down there and watch a launch. I really, really hope that this is going to be the case because it would be an amazing place to watch a Starship launch. It's right next to that lagoon. There's a lake in front of the viewing. What's it called in English? Gantry, viewing gantry. I think. Gallery? I hope gallery could be as well. And you're looking over the water. It looks so incredibly Floridian out there. It is really, really beautiful. And in the distance, you have this history. 39A is the mother of all rocket pads. It's where we took flight to the moon and where many, many other very, very important things happened in the spaceflight history. And I'm very glad that SpaceX is going to start launching Starships from there. And so you see this amazing history pad out there in the distance, and you have a clear view if that exclusion zone is small enough, and it should. That would be the best spot by far to watch it. It's not completely for free, but it's definitely going to give you by far the best views. All right, the countdown is moving again. We've just looked on the website and the hold seems to be over. That's what I meant. Largely, these early on problems normally just cause a 5 to 10 minute hold, and then they keep proceeding because they could clear it out, reset the sensor, get the valve moving, bypass it. They fix these things prior to launch. And so we're tracking again, everybody. Good news. We're on track for Flight 11. Let me just get everybody up to speed who's just joined. We are watching Starship Flight 11.
We are go for prop load.
and we'll go for prop load. This is so good. This is going to be so nice. I've been looking forward to this so much. Okay, so we are watching flight 11. We have ship 38 on the top and booster 15-2 on the bottom. So that means this is the second flight of the booster. It's been caught before. We're going to largely see the same we saw in flight 10. So we're going to see the Starship go up. We're going to see the separation. We're going to see the booster go into the Gulf and land on a simulated, on a virtual tower. So it is not going to return back for a catch. The reason for that is that they do not want to risk the tower. They have demonstrated the catches, and with an old and almost to be replaced booster design, you do not need to catch again, and that's why they just simulate it out at sea. They're going to have a bigger angle of attack again, so they're going to stress test the booster. They have some changes in the engine relight pattern.
Yes.
So they're changing all sorts of different things that they can still check off with the old hardware, basically. The Starship is going to continue on its flight. It is going to hopefully, same as on flight 10, release 8 Starlink dummy satellites. I love the smile of my wife. I miss you, honey. They're going to release 8 Starlink dummy satellites. I'm sorry, guys. They're hopefully going to show us an improvement on the PEZ dispenser. That is the mechanism that they released the satellites with on flight 10. It worked, but it also transferred a momentum to the satellites, and you really, really don't want that. You want them just to move in one direction without turning or twisting or changing. And they did. All of them did. So there's some improvement to be made there. And I'm pretty sure that the engineers have already touched that system. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens during that. The Starship is going to continue on further down range, and then they are going to do a Raptor relight in space, same as on the last flight. This is to demonstrate that they can safely deorbit a Starship with engines where they want to deorbit it. That is very important for when they actually reach space. And then we're going to see the same thing with the re-entry. The Starship has all sorts of heat shield tests right now. The most important test right now is the crunch wrap. Crunch wrap is something that they put under the tiles, and it's called crunch wrap because it crunches around the tiles. When you put the next tile in, you press it onto that white fabric. It's derived from the Dragon capsules, by the way. So SpaceX already possessed the knowledge, and they transferred it over to Starship. And it's a thermal insulation blanket, basically. It sits on top of the metal in between the tiles and the metal of the Starship. And they call it crunch wrap because the edges crunch around the tile when you press it in, and then it sits between the tiles as a so-called filler. And this filler, you can see this time, you see this on the entire Starship. It's this white edges, these white edges around the heat tiles themselves. They're all over the heat shield this time, and that is a test. Gerstenmaier talked about it. A high-ranking SpaceX employee who worked at NASA before, and he had a big career there as the head of human spaceflight. If I remember correctly, so right, yeah. And if he's a very important guy and he knows what he's doing, and he talked about this, that they are trying the crunch wrap all over the tiles because they've seen a lot of intrusion in between the tiles, and then the flames go behind the heat tiles, and that is really, really bad for a heat shield and shouldn't happen. So that's the most important change on this one. But they also do have tiles on the front of the aft flaps.
Yes, and this time they spaced them out. The last time you had them close to another, and this time they're really separate. So I'm really curious why they did it. It almost looks like design since they have it identical on both sides, but of course it's going to be a test thing. And I'm really curious. It looks like they are trying out how fast a single tile, if all the edges are exposed, would be ripped off. I don't know. We never know what exactly they want to try out with it, but they did do a new pattern. So let's see what's going to happen this time once the plasma starts to cook.
Yeah, sometimes as an outsider, we are all outsiders the same way you are. We do this professionally, of course, but we don't have the information that SpaceX has. And so sometimes we're just left guessing. And that's the same with these tiles on the aft flaps of the ship. They're on the leeward side, so not on the side that actually faces the heat. And they're dispersed in a pattern this time. Last time they were clustered into one spot. I've even seen speculation about them being for flow separation, because it doesn't really make sense to put heat tiles on that side of the flaps, because what are they doing there? So that's an interesting thing, and we're going to see. Maybe we get some information from SpaceX. I would like that. If somebody from SpaceX is watching, please do clarify why you're putting these tiles on the aft flaps. It's very interesting to see. So that's a mystery for us right now. And there's tons of other things that they changed from Flight 10 that we just don't know about. That's the iterative design process. Every time a Starship gets stacked, it's not the same as it was last time. There's always changes everywhere, little things, details that are really, really hard to find, that aren't even visible on the outside. Software changes as well. Everything is being refined, and that's what this testing process is all about. So if you're one of those who are still wondering why SpaceX takes 11 flights and hasn't deployed any payload to space yet, that's because they're building the largest rocket ever conceived, and it's supposed to be fully and rapidly reusable, and in the end it's supposed to get us to Mars. There is so much new tech in there, new things that haven't been done before, that it's absolutely necessary to test these things and to find a way to even build it. They don't know. If SLS is a perfect example. It is comprised of 40-year-old tech. Of course, everything on it was slightly changed. So the power heads on the RS-25 engines are slightly modified, and the boosters aren't exactly the same as they were on the Starship. And the core stage, no, it isn't a fuel tank, a shuttle fuel tank, but it is as well. It's all old tech. It's modified old tech, but it's stuff that they already knew. And that's why SLS launch number 1 worked, even though it took them a few tries. And Starship number 1 dug a tunnel. It's because SpaceX is testing radically different things, and this takes some time. It is way more comparable to the early days of NASA, when NASA didn't know how to build a rocket, because SpaceX doesn't know how to build the largest rocket ever built, which is supposed to be fully reusable and rapidly reusable, and in the end it's supposed to get us to Mars. It's never been done before.
And
that's
mass
why it takes
produced.
them. Exactly. And they want to build 3 Starships per day. Not week, not month, not year. And that's why they're doing this. That's why they're testing. That's why they haven't gotten anything to orbit that. So don't fret. This is to be expected. That's as simple as it is. SpaceX has plenty of funding with Starlink, which is massively growing. If you haven't, I mean, you have, but if you haven't heard about it yet, it's a low Earth orbit satellite constellation that is largely being deployed by Falcon 9, and it is massively successful, and Starship is going to continue this, and that produces a huge amount of funding. So SpaceX isn't even largely using taxpayer money. If you've heard that before, the Starship program is largely funded by SpaceX themselves, and it is extremely interesting to watch. We're already seeing are those the condensers? I think those are the condensers.
Yeah, should be.
So we should be very, very close to fueling. What's the timeline? When in the timeline does the fueling start? We should be very close to that now. Yeah, 53.
Yeah, we should.
So we should be in fueling at this point.
Ooh.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Ah, man, everybody cross your fingers for SpaceX that we're going to see this rocket fly tonight. I would love to end this evening with a Starship in the Indian Ocean. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, so we're going, nope, that's not the one. I know I'm at some point I'll get it. So Skip, we had you. Next would be Jeffrey. Jeffrey Bakes. Jeffrey Bakes. Do you want to do this one?
I can, of course.
Go ahead. There it is.
How much damage does a catch make on the gantry, tower, and chopsticks do? Where is the minimum turnaround time? What is the minimum turnaround time with 2 working pads?
Well, yeah, those are interesting.
Yeah, first of all, if they engineer it absolutely right, there shouldn't be that much damage. There should not be damage. It should just be wear. You will never be able to completely take away wear. At some point, you will always have to redo stuff. But damage should be something that is exactly not happening. That's why you have rapid reusability. It's only possible if you don't damage things. Yeah. And the other thing, what's the minimum turnaround time with working pads? I mean, as fast as you basically can refill the gas.
Yeah, as fast as you can spool up the tank farm again.
Yeah.
It depends on how large is the tank farm. Does it hold fuel for 2 launches? Then very rapidly.
Yeah.
Technically,
I mean,
It's hard to say because that's what I talked about in the, just before you started answering this question. That's exactly what it is. No one's done this before. No one's launched twice from one pad in a day.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you watch them stacking, you can see how fast Machazilla can put a rocket on its launch position. That's also unheard of, basically, how fast they can do it. And so it is really quick, the process, and they will streamline that, of course, as well. So yeah,
you're right. Probably the longest taking, the biggest time eater in this would be the stacking process, and that doesn't take long at all.
Yeah.
So let's say theoretically you should be able to launch 3 to 4 times a day from one pad, which would be absolutely crazy. And it would need a huge tank farm. That's another limiting factor because you need to be able to fuel them. But technically, every 6 hours.
How fast after a launch can the people go onto the launch pad again?
Check out how fast they are already. And right now, they're not even like pressured on time when they stack.
Yeah, no, I know.
Steffi
just asked how quick can they be on the pad again?
Yeah, because it's no, I mean, yeah, everybody working there, because it's not just about the tower and the rocket, but about safety.
Yes, almost immediately.
Yeah,
theoretically, almost immediately, because everything dangerous leaves with the rocket.
Yeah.
So once the rocket has cleared the pad and everything's cooled down and they've checked all the sensors for leaks, people can enter the pad almost immediately. And if they have, like, let's just go completely crazy here in theory with the rapidly reusable rocket, which is what we are going to see in the future if this actually works out, would be they already have the next Starship and booster lined up for rollout to the pad, or even you can even go quicker. You can reuse the booster you just used, meaning you shoot the rocket up. The Starship goes into orbit and does its business. The booster comes back down again, lands on the pad. They have a Starship ready nearby. You can just roll it to the pad, lift it up onto the booster that you just used, check everything out, and that's the question. If they can bring this down to what they are saying, they want to get this to similar times that you have for an airliner. And airliners don't need to be checked out. There's minimal checking before you fly with it again. The pilot walks around the vehicle, around the plane, but that's more tradition than anything else. You don't do many checks on an airliner before it takes off again. So you just put new passengers in, you put new luggage in, and you fly again. So technically, at least 4 to 5 times a day would be possible, which is completely nuts.
We also spoke about it during the last launch stream, that basically you will also have assistance systems. So for example, you have cameras below the pad that can check the Raptors out. You can do a lot of automated checks.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And so this also brings down the time massively. Then you have the sensors, of course, on it. You have so many ways to just not have a person.
Once it's optimized, once it's optimized, it should be a fairly quick process. And that is the reason why Flight 11 hasn't brought anything into orbit yet. Because this isn't what SpaceX is trying to do. They have Falcon 9 and Heavy. They're bringing things to orbit. Trust me, how much? 98% of the mass to orbit in 25 so far was from SpaceX.
Is that frosting?
So excuse me?
Is that frosting?
It's hard to tell. It could be, but we should absolutely start to see frosting at this point.
I was about to hop in here to give an update real quick again, because we do have a tweet from SpaceX saying that the chip's prop load is underway. So on the upper stage, we should soon see something. Not under the booster yet, but here we have the Starship. So shouldn't take too much longer.
Yeah, no, yeah, this is progressing nicely, and I expected this because it is largely the same thing as Flight 10. They, of course, have changes again, but the booster is already flown, so it's already proven that it can do this, and the ship is almost the same as last time. So I don't expect them to have any problems today. I don't want to jinx it either, so I'm going to be quiet about this. But yeah, extremely interesting question, Jeffrey. And it makes you dream if you are a Starship fan, because the possibilities of this, once it is optimized and once everything is working, are mind-boggling. SpaceX is right now planning to have 5 pads operational by the middle of next year. if you just spin this a little further, I know there are other people that have questions. Just let me get this done real quick. You have 5 pads. You have 4 launches per day per pad. That ends up having 20 Starship launches a day. That's the bottom line. That's the capacity that they're going to theoretically have by the middle of next year.
It's just mind-blowing.
It's nuts. And that's why I said it is absolutely worth waiting for Artemis 3 if this takes a little longer, because it's not just Artemis 3 this is about. Artemis 3 is very important for the United States. I totally get it, and especially for NASA. But the possibilities that Starship adds go way beyond Artemis 3. All right, next one. We have Thierry Hartmann. Thank you. Oh, Thierry, he's from Switzerland. Thierry Hartmann.
Thierry Hartmann?
Hartmann? Thierry Hartmann? Which part of Switzerland are you from? Exactly. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, you all, I am watching this launch out of the hospital in Switzerland. Helps in times like this to watch interesting and fun streams. Good luck, SpaceX.
All the best to you.
Swift recovery. Yes. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. If everybody, if you could just spam a heart in there for Thierry so that he gets well soon again. We're very, very happy that you're with us tonight and that this is giving you some joy laying in the hospital. Good luck to SpaceX and good luck to you for a swift recovery. Thank you so much. We have John Horsey. Thank you so much for the super chat. Space should not use the deluge system for the last launch, SpaceX. That way Starship can dismantle the pad when it leaves. Exactly. Yeah, that's what would happen.
But you don't want to have molten metal flying around.
You can nicely break up the concrete. Why not?
Says who?
But now you have a steel plate.
I agree with him. It would be fun. I was there for IFT1. It was all good.
Yeah, sometimes mistakes just happen.
Yeah. No, this would work. Absolutely. Super Heavy, as Musk once put it, is the largest blowtorch ever built. And if you do not have this deluge plate that they have under it, it demolishes everything. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, so they're not going to do that. They're of course going to have a normal launch, and it looks really, really good at this point. Do we have frost lines? Do we have some sort of frost line visible?
It's beautiful.
I don't see it yet.
Jonathan, do we have a frost line?
So I'm here from the back end again. I don't think there's a frost line yet, but there was definitely some venting on the quick disconnect to the ship. Maybe Colton, I think he's on the camera right now, can zoom it in.
And there's venting visible on the hot stage ring as well, yeah.
Yeah,
that's actually a new vent.
Shouldn't be much longer.
I do not remember a vent on the hot stage ring. Can you zoom in on that? That's interesting. It's right at the edge of the heat shield. I don't remember ever seeing that. Chat, am I crazy? Am I stupid? Is that a new vent?
You're the smartest person I know. Tell me.
I don't know. I don't remember this kind of vent. Yeah, it's a new vent. Aft engine chill line. Okay. Okay, so it's the engine chill lines, apparently. I did not know this. This came from Colton from the team. Thank you, Colton. We're going to keep a close eye on this. I have never seen this vent before, I swear. All right, but we have a very, very active pad and chip at this point. So this looks very, very much like they're absolutely actively fueling. And I do think I see a frost line there appearing in the middle of the Starship.
Yeah.
Yeah, this condensate line, that's the first thing you normally see. So I'm pretty sure they're into fueling at this point. Let's do a few more questions. For anybody who has just joined, we're watching Starship Flight 11, 38 on the top, 15-2 on the bottom. We're going to largely see the same program flown as we saw on Flight 10. It is going to be a blast. Stay tuned with us. If you haven't done so yet, like the stream. That's very important for us. Become a subscriber if you appreciate what we do. This helps us hugely. If you want to go even further, become an active supporter by clicking the join button or go into Patreon and becoming a patron, you get massive amounts of extra content. You get direct access to the team, background stories, photo galleries with hundreds and hundreds of pictures and so on and so forth. So it's definitely worth it. And it helps us a lot. Thank you to everybody who's done this so far. If you have a question for us, it's hashtag question in the chat. And then if you combine it with a super chat, we're of course going to bump it up because active supporters deserve to be bumped up. Thank you so much for joining, and we're going to continue with our questions here. So that was John dismantling the pad.
Okay, Astroman24 is the next. Thank you for the super chat. And is there going to be a camera on the Starlink sim?
Yes.
I wish there's one. I totally want to. But then on the other hand, last time we saw that it was the period of the flight where we were in darkness. So the question is how much we can actually see. If
anything is good. Anything.
Yeah, I want that camera view, absolutely.
I totally agree with you. That's the camera view I want to see. I wanted to see it on the last flight. Yeah. There is a camera there. We know this because SpaceX has said so, but they haven't shown us any footage from it. They did not show us any footage on the live stream, and that is likely because you don't want to show things going wrong. I mean, SpaceX is fine with it, but they don't want to overdo it either. And all those Starlink dummy satellites bumped into the door. So if they would have shown us the camera view from that simulator Starlink satellite, what you would have seen is it being released, drifting off, bumping into the door, and then swirling out into the distance. They likely just didn't want to show this. And that's probably the reason why we haven't seen that camera view yet. So Pez Dispenser team, I hope you did your job, and I hope we see less momentum on those satellites, because I really want to see that camera view as well. It should look absolutely stunning. Absolutely. Sci-fi, pure sci-fi. I so want to see that camera on the Starlink satellites. Okay, so I clicked it. Thank you. You clicked it as well? Oh, there it is. Master Tone 80, thank you so much for the generous donation. This brings coffee to the entire team. How nice would it be for them to at least put one working satellite with their dummies? It would be very nice, but it's not. It's testing. You can do the exact same testing with a dummy satellite that you can do with a Starlink satellite. The problem is, or the main reason why they're not doing this is because they're releasing these satellites on the exact same trajectory as the ship is flying. And the ship is flying on a suborbital trajectory, re-entering only minutes after it came up into space. And the exact same thing would happen with extremely expensive Starlink satellite hardware. It's just better if you send a simulator. It's cheaper to produce and it does exactly the same thing. And that's why they haven't gone to orbit yet. Once they go to orbit, they're going to release Starlink satellites. But on a suborbital trajectory, it just doesn't make much sense. But it was a really, really good question. Thank you so much. We have Koni Mai, thank you so much for your super chat. Did someone say why doggo? Yes.
We got another paw for the dog.
We have, oh no. Oh no, why are you doing this to me? I just want to bring you a nice evening with a good Starship stream, and now you're getting a dog into our house again.
So
we just got a cat.
If we get enough money to get that dog, maybe we can have a poll what to name it at the end of the stream.
Oh no, that's going to be Doggy McDogface. We've done this before. The internet is cruel. The internet is cruel. You cannot do this. That's the worst. Like, you really want to do this? A vote on how we are going to call our dog? That's going to be extremely nice. Having that dog walk around and the neighbors hearing us call it by that name.
Well, you know,
like Thrust Puck or something, you know, they're going to
like
come up with some lovely
the
name.
cat babies we had.
Yeah, yep. I actually like the name Thrust Puck, though. That was a very original name for a cat baby.
Fantastic.
For a kitten. Thrust Puck was really good. Yeah, you weren't on the team at that point. That was such a crazy evening.
No, I just had a look at the chat and I already see the names coming in. Schnitzel has already...
Schnitzel is a good name. I agree with you. Totally do. Schnitzel is a good name. It's a very German name for a dog as well.
Rudd is also great.
What?
Rudd.
Rudd, yeah.
Rudd. Hey, Rudd. Oh, come on, Rudd. Come.
It has to be Raptor. That's also a good one.
Raptor. It sounds very aggressive. So it should be we should get a Chihuahua and call it Raptor. All right, I see your curiosity, your creativity, but we're not going to make this a vote. Meowser. Mechazilla. That's actually nice.
Mechazilla.
Hype is also good. We could just
Oh,
call
and
it
now
hype.
there are frost lines. Look at those immense frost lines now.
Oh,
Yes, they're quickly
Oh, and only half
proceeding.
an hour to go. Sorry, I
Yes,
missed
yes,
the
yes,
half
yes. We're getting. We should do a few more questions. We're getting so many super chats, and we're like sidetracking like crazy. I'm very sorry. Okay, so we have GTR Fanboy. Thank you so much for your super chat, Felix. Can you check PM on Discord from GTR Fanboy? I will after the live stream. Thank you so much. We have drum roll. Etienne, thank you so much for your super chat. Would you want to do this again?
Yeah, but it's for you.
Oh, I was 14 when I started watching your videos. Now I am 20. Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy? Joining the Luftwaffe driven by my fascination for aviation and rockets. The Luftwaffe? The Luftwaffe hasn't.
Aviation?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, you light the spark. Thank you so much for these stories. I seem to have inspired a small army of students at this point to pursue aviation. They wrote emails to me and said I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and then I watched your channel, and now I'm an aerospace engineer, becoming aerospace engineer at the university. This is exactly why I'm doing this channel. I want to spread the news about what's happening, and we're going to need all the talent if this actually does happen. So thank you so much for sending us the super chat and for sharing the story. And good luck on your future in aviation. It's beautiful. I'm a pilot myself, and it's the best thing you can do. There's nothing better than flying, except for my wife. That's how I would put it right now, because she is live on the stream and I can't say anything wrong. So.
What? I can't even hit you from this distance.
Nope, but he could.
No.
If you tell him, he probably would even.
Why would I tell him?
They
We're all
the entire
sweethearts
team.
here.
Okay, I love you. Next question.
I love
no,
you
too.
not.
Question.
No, don't do it. Why are you doing this? Jeff Cox, thank you so much for funding Raptor. I presume it's going to be a Chihuahua. I'm going to tweet pictures of it. Thank you so much. Brad Dieterle, thank you so much for the super chat. You want to do this again?
Just want to say I love the channel and the people in it. Thanks, Felix and the Y family. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much for the support.
Oh,
SpaceX is coming live. All right, but first they normally do some music, so let's do this again. We're just going to watch a beauty video here. SpaceX does a beautiful job with it, but we've seen them before, so we're going to use the time. Joker of all trades, thank you so much for the super chat, for a doggy treat, and hopefully a successful launch. For anybody who's just joined us, this stream is about funding our next dog. Thank you so much. We have Dennis, aka Mordic, thank you so much for the super chat. Also a truck driver, thank you so much for moving the goods around the planet. Parked in a truck stop so I could watch. I remember my dad waking me up to watch the first moon landing. Can't wait for the next one next year. Yeah, thank you so much for following along, and thank you so much for I told you about Mike today. Remember how I told you about the guy who died in 2022? He was a truck driver, and he was one of the finest people I have ever known. So shout out to the truck driver community, and thank you so much for parking your truck before starting to watch a Starship launch. Thank you. Okay, we have time for a few more. You want to do the next one?
Sure. Okay, so the next one is KSAT from Canada. Enjoy your show. Great fun, information and entertainment. Go for launch. Yes, we are go for
Thank you. Let's speed talk. They're still not there.
Come on, bring it up.
It's a magic mouse. Don't blame it on him.
Jonathan Smith. I really wish SpaceX were more focused on colonizing the moon than Mars. There's so much mineral and economic benefit having a fully colonized moon for Earth. Yeah, I also think they would just do both. I mean, Mars is the goal, but we always talk about how much moon will be the stepping stone. I mean, we've just
it is undoubtedly a perfect stepping stone, a learning and proving ground, and they're absolutely going to do this.
Yeah, we've just been to ESTEC yesterday. Was it yesterday? Amazing.
Yes.
And we saw it again, like we got an explanation of how they're extracting materials from simulated regolith, from the moon soil, basically. Yeah, there's valuable material in there. There's basically the fuel for Starship in there. If they ever get this process on an industrial scale, it's so much easier to farm your fuel on the moon. I mean, of course, then you would go for hydrogen, but still, you get all the elements. You can basically combine everything, and
it's useful for all sorts of things. It's the perfect proving ground, and they're absolutely going to do it. They're all working on it. We saw it yesterday at ESA. By the way, thank you so much to ESA. If anybody watches the ESA Open Day at STEC, it's just beautiful. It really is. Okay, so I'm going to try your magic mouse. And we have Dan Tao. Thank you so much for the generous
another
doggy dollars. Doggy dollars. What did we start? Thank you. We have Silicon77. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. Quite impressive of SpaceX to launch a Falcon 9 from Florida during the Starship Flight 11 test. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's SpaceX. Are they live with the audio at this point? Jonathan, can we hear something? In 1 second, okay.
Our second reuse of a super heavy booster and what's expected to be the final launch of our second generation vehicle. I'm Amanda Lee, a build reliability engineer here at SpaceX.
And I'm Jake Berkowitz, a lead propulsion engineer on our SpaceX Raptor team. Today we're coming to you live from Star Factory, just under 2 miles away from the rocket on the pad. Right outside on the lawn, the crowd is starting to gather, and after liftoff, we expect that crowd to head back in to watch the rest of the launch with us and have a party.
And right behind us are 3 generations of Raptor engines, the third of which we're looking to debut on the next generation of Starship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that upgraded rocket later in the program.
Yeah, and if you watched Flight 10, you'll know it was a really good day for Starship. All objectives were met, and we got tons of great data to learn from. And today, we're looking to build on the success of that flight.
Yeah, that's right. Like in Flight 10, we're again planning to deploy Starlink simulator satellites as well as test the limits of ship's heat shield during reentry. A controlled descent, flip maneuver, and soft splash in the Indian Ocean are also planned for ship. And hopefully, our recovery team will be able to deliver some more of those amazing views that we got back on Flight 10.
Yeah, those views were just awesome. Another crazy thing, and for those of you keeping track, today actually marks the 1-year anniversary of our historic first ever booster catch. That was Booster 12. And even though we're not attempting a catch today, every time we launch a Starship, it's a big day. All right, so everyone, buckle up because maximum excitement is guaranteed.
Wow.
All right.
And Dan Hewitt joins us from over near Mission Control. Dan, how are things looking for launch today?
Hey, Jake. Hey, Amanda. Hey, everybody. We are looking great. I'm Dan Hewitt with SpaceX Communications. That's right. Right behind me is our Launch Control Center here at Starbase. Flight control team is on there. They're getting Starship and Super Heavy ready for liftoff. So as you could tell, when we look at the vehicle, prop load is underway. Things are looking good. We did shift our T0 a little bit. We're tracking to 6:23 p.m. Central Time, just a couple minutes into our window. Nice. All right, so as we noted, back in August, Flight 10, it did all the things. Did all the things we wanted it to do. Started off with Super Heavy, those 33 Raptor engines igniting and lifting off right at the top of its window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. It was able to do a successful ascent, followed that up with hot staging, Starship's upper stage igniting those 6 Raptor engines, separating Super Heavy, making its way back down. We saw the hot stage pop off. It then completed its boost back burn, put it on the course towards that splashdown zone. It successfully did that landing burn when we intentionally disabled one of those 3 center engines. During the final phase of that, used a backup engine, entered into its final hover, shut down the engines, and then splashed down into the water. Ship, meanwhile, completed full duration ascent burn, got to its planned velocity, successfully put it on that suborbital trajectory, and then it was on to the in-space stuff. That first in-space objective was completed. 8 of those Starlink simulators were deployed. That was the first successful payload demonstration we've ever had from Starship. Each of these simulators, similar in size to the V3 Starlinks that we're going to be launching next year to add significant capacity and capability to the network. Then it was on to our second ever in-space relight of a Raptor engine. That's a key capability for when we're going to do deorbit burns on future orbital missions, and then when we're doing deep space maneuvers. Then on to the critical reentry phase, we're able to get data on the performance of that heat shield, the ship structure, push the envelope on it, using the flaps, got it down to the splashdown zone, did the landing flip, did the landing burn. Killer views from the recovery team. Soft splashdown over in the Indian Ocean. We were just about 3 meters off of our target, so pretty much nailed it. It was a huge day, tons of excitement here at Starbase. Just a reminder, though, this is still the early days. I mean, we're on Flight 11 today. There's a lot more we're going to do to get to full reusability, increase our launch cadence, eventually start sending missions to the Moon and Mars. I mean, we've got thousands of launches to come. But for now, we're looking good for launch. Toss it back down to Amanda and Jake.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Starship is the first orbital launch vehicle engineered to be fully reusable, just like a commercial airliner. In fact, to the end, we're actually reflying a Super Heavy booster for the second time today. This booster last flew on Flight 8. So let's just start with how powerful this rocket really is. When you stack Starship up against one of the world's biggest airplanes, the 747, a single Raptor engine is actually double the thrust of all 4 airplane engines put together. So that means the Super Heavy over in the pad right now, with its 33 Raptors, is equal to the power of about 64 747s.
Yeah, that's just crazy, Amanda. The power this rocket generates is incredible. To be specific, it's over 16.7 million pounds of thrust. Numbers almost incomprehensible, but it's just crazy. All right, to break it down, Starship is made of 2 parts. First is the Super Heavy booster, which is powered by 33 of those Raptor engines that run on liquid methane and liquid oxygen. And second is the Starship upper stage, powered by 6 Raptor engines. 3 are optimized for sea level performance, and 3 are for vacuum performance with that larger nozzle extension. All right, it's the Starship's second stage that will one day carry cargo, payloads, and people all the way to Mars and beyond.
The Super Heavy booster is designed to launch, separate, flip, and return to the launch site where it can be caught by the chopsticks on the launch tower. However, as previously noted, we won't be attempting one of those catches today. Starship, on the other hand, re-enters the Earth's atmosphere at the conclusion of its mission, steering itself to a vertical landing or catch. And both stages are designed to return to Earth and fly again, making this the first rocket in history that will be fully reusable.
Yeah, and we cannot forget that between the 2 vehicles is the hot stage ring, a structure made of steel that allows the ship's engines to ignite while still attached to the booster, enabling a faster and more efficient stage separation. Right now, that hot stage ring is single use, but in the future, it will be built in directly to the V3 booster forward end.
And finally, the infrastructure built to support Starship is referred to as Stage 0. This includes the launch pads, tank farm, and the launch towers, which hold the chopsticks that catch the Super Heavy booster and eventually will also catch the ship.
Yeah, and to get us ready for launch today, we recently conducted another static test fire, basically where we fire up the engines to mimic a launch without actually launching. You're seeing the booster on the screen right now. It's a crucial milestone to let us know we're ready to go. And then here we're seeing ship. We did this for the second time on a retrofitted mount on Pad 1. We had a full 9-second duration burn on all 6 engines.
We should also note that today's launch on Pad 1 is intended to be the last launch on this pad in this configuration. As we head into the next generation Starship flight test program, we'll be modifying Pad 1 to meet the demands of our future missions.
Yeah, and among many other things, we're installing a new orbital launch mount, a new flame trench system, and upgrading the chopsticks for future catches. So until that's complete, we'll be running operations from Pad 2, which will be coming online very soon. All right, let's go over to Hawthorne, where Tyler is ready to talk a little Starlink.
Thank you, Jake and Amanda. My name is Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit, high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity both on Earth and in space. So, Starship is outfitted again today with 4 Starlink terminals, powering those incredible live shots of ship in orbit, through re-entry, and then all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Now, we've had a couple of recent milestones that are worth celebrating. Back in September, we launched Starlink for its 300th time. And this summer, we surpassed 7 million active customers with service available across 150 countries and territories. We've come a really long way since turning on service for our first paying customer in rural Idaho 5 years ago, back in October of 2020.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Starlink is revolutionary. Should there be audio?
With Starlink, we didn't have to compromise on where we live due to the lack of technology.
The minute they turned it on, we could stream a movie, we could video chat, we could play games on the internet without a lot of lag. I changed jobs earlier this year, so now I actually have the ability to work remote.
Here's my house. Program runs on the cloud. I can send anything I want out to get prices and designs.
Can we turn the audio down for a second?
I've been able to.
So this is a Starlink commercial, but I can give you the real information about this. This is just supposed to make you buy a terminal. The craziness that is Starlink, that's basically how you should call it. It's supposed to be an incredible amount of satellites in the end. SpaceX is already dominating payload deployment. They have over 7,000 active Starlink satellites in space at this point, which almost doubles the peak amount of satellites that humanity has ever had actively in space before. So Starlink is something completely new. It is only possible through reusable rockets. And I still remember people asking me what you should use a reusable rocket for even. What capabilities, what is the capability worth? What are you going to even send to space with this? And that's the same for Starship. The capability addition of having a reusable rocket is what makes this possible. And this is just the beginning. Starlink is just one project that you can realize with a reusable rocket, and with a fully reusable rocket, it gets even crazier. Here you see a really, really nice graphic of the V3. V3 Starlink satellite is what SpaceX is going to deploy, and it's massively going to extend the capabilities of the Starlink network, which is going to even more increase SpaceX's funding for Starship. Can we have the audio back?
Coverage provider on Earth. Over 7 million people across 5 continents already rely on Starlink to connect their LTE phones to data, voice, video, and messaging, where terrestrial service is unavailable. So we're excited to have the opportunity to help close those coverage gaps and ultimately eliminate mobile dead zones around the world.
17.
So yeah, there's a lot happening with Starlink, and there's a lot more to come. So let's head back to Amanda and Jake at Starbase to take us through today's flight profile.
Thank you so much, Tyler. So today's flow profile, we're looking to get our second re-entry with this iteration of ship. And prior to every launch, we work closely with the FAA and international air traffic organizations to efficiently and safely integrate launch and re-entry operations into the airspace.
And we've got a special guest here. We're live.
What's up, guys?
How's it going? Good to see you, boss.
Hi.
Hey.
Very nice cameo.
Good. We're live right now.
What the?
Yeah. Getting ready for flight 11. How are you feeling for it?
That's what I would do, totally. I would totally do that,
I'm
too.
actually outside standing and watching the rocket. Because normally I'm in mission control and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But now I'll be standing out in the garden there.
Okay.
So
awesome.
It's really going to be much more visceral.
Yeah. You're gonna feel
Great
it.
place
It's
to
gonna
watch.
be. It's gonna be awesome.
When it's opening?
We'll be in here this time, but usually we're out there watching. Yeah.
That's a really cool shirt.
Good luck
Later.
and have fun.
Have fun.
All right, so that was an exciting cameo there. But yeah, starting with liftoff, we'll get into the flight profile here. Super Heavy will ignite 33 engines, 24 of which are flight proven today. We'll power through ascent ahead of hot stage separation, where booster will shut down all but 3 engines. Stage 2 lights its Raptor engines while still attached to Super Heavy. That is what we call hot stage separation. We'll see a directional booster flip and engine relight for boost back. And we'll be intentionally headed to a splashdown in the Gulf with a V3 style landing burn demonstration today.
Meanwhile, ship will continue with its ascent burn to a suborbital trajectory, where it will attempt to deploy 8 Starlink simulator satellites. And we're also planning to relight a single Raptor engine. Then it's time for a re-entry, where we're once again testing the limits of Starship's heat shield by intentionally removing tiles. The ship will also perform a pretty dynamic banking maneuver that mimics the path of a return to launch site for Ketch that will fly on a future mission. And if all that goes as planned, we'll conclude the test with a landing flip, burn, and soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So definitely another action-packed flight profile, Dan.
This is planned to be the final launch of this version of Starship, version number 2. Right now, we're actively building multiple next-generation V3 Starship and Super Heavy vehicles in the factory, kind of right behind us, so let's take a minute and nerd out a little bit. All right, Those are going to be launching from Pad 2, which is nearing completion down here at Starbase. Both the pad and the vehicles are going to roll in really significant changes. This is building on everything we've learned from all of these flight tests to make a vehicle that we're looking to mass produce. Starting with the Starship upper stage, which is going to look pretty similar on the outside, but it's getting pretty much a complete overhaul under the hood. We're getting major design changes to its propulsion system that's going to accommodate that new version of Raptor, which puts out higher thrust. We're also getting an energy storage upgrades, tons of avionics changes, a lot of things that will enable longer duration missions. One notable thing you'll start seeing on the outside are these new docking adapters, which we'll use when we bring two Starships together for propellant transfer. That's a core capability of Starship that we're going to demonstrate next year. Bottom line, though, this is the Starship we're planning to use for all of our next major milestones: orbital missions, return to launch site and catch, reuse, propellant transfer, and then making our way to the moon and Mars. Now, Super Heavy, we've shown some of this off, some of this hardware already coming out of the factory. Nuts. It has upgrades like this, a redesigned fuel transfer tube. That thing's roughly the same size as the first stage of a Falcon 9 rocket. That channels all that cryogenic fuel down to Super Heavy's 33 engines. We made it bigger. Yes. It's basically a rocket inside of our rocket that gives us a faster, more reliable flip and simultaneous engine startup. New booster also going to have an integrated hot stage, a lot more vent area, and it's designed to be fully reusable. Pressure from those engine plumes gets vented out, mostly offset just by the pressure in the fuel tank. That is the top of the fuel tank. And then we add a non-structural layer of steel on the top that helps take all the heating. It's mapped to where all the high heating goes. Grid fins also getting a big change, going from 4 down to 3. They're 50% larger, though, much higher strength. They're also going to get used for vehicle lift and catch. That's all made possible. There's a new catch point addition on those grid fins. We've also kind of reclocked their position on the booster. That aligns them with the catch arms. We got it right in the middle there. All right, and then powering it all, Raptor 3. Looks radically different, just straight up radical. Tons of major changes. It's coming in higher thrust, dramatic reduction in parts, tons of control mechanisms moved inside. Our McGregor teams built some additional stands like this one, which essentially is the bottom of a Super Heavy booster, lets us do gimbal or steering tests. So that's been really exciting to see. We've also been getting vacuum versions of Raptor 3 into test. The first flight engines are already in production and are about to start acceptance testing for Flight 12. So a lot of exciting changes coming, and we're getting ready to mass produce everything, including one of the really key contributors to that rapid reusability, the heat shield tiles. Let's jump over to Tyler real quick in Hawthorne, who's got a really cool look at what's happening with tiles in Florida.
Thank you, Dan.
At the bakery.
Indeed, Starship's heat shield is the linchpin to full and rapid reusability. We can't launch, land, refuel, and launch again if we have to spend months refurbishing the heat shield after every launch, like they did in the Space Shuttle program. So, in a future where Starship is flying several times a day, many, many thousands of heat shield tiles will be required. So yeah, we need to get cooking on those tiles, which is exactly what's happening inside the fully automated bakery down at the Cape. In just 3 years, tile production at the bakery has surpassed the total number of tiles produced during the 30 years of the shuttle program. To go from the raw material to a finished tile, it takes about 40 hours. And today, the bakery is producing about 1,000 tiles a day.
Wow, this is
But
nice.
it's set up to produce enough tiles for 10 ships per month, which is about 7,000 tiles a day, or a tile off the line every 13 seconds. So yeah, the bakery is well on its way to providing Starship with all the tiles for missions to Mars and beyond. And for today's flight, we've made a modification to the heat shield tiles. Dan, do you mind filling us in on what's being referred to as the Crunchwrap tile?
Absolutely. I always love to get to do a little show and tell. So we've got thousands of these heat shield tiles covering Starship. Now they're kind of all next to each other. There's a small gap in between all of them. You got to leave a little bit of space as that metal underneath will expand and contract. That way they don't crunch into each other and start breaking. However, that lets some of that plasma kind of seep through, and we see really high heating on the sides and then down on the metal. To help fix that, we have this, the crunch wrap that everyone has heard about. So we take essentially that's called Vulcan felt that we then wrap around. And so as these tiles are next to each other, you've got a small bit in between that's going to help offset that heating. It's just one of the ways we're continuing to iterate on this heat shield, getting towards rapid reusability. Hopefully it's going to help Starship live Moss. You know, everything is just going to get us to that end state of a fully and rapidly reusable vehicle. So pretty much the entire vehicle has those on it today. We've done this on multiple Starships previously, but this time pretty much the whole vehicle has it. So that was special for today. All right, enough heat shield tiles. Let's go quick check-in on the pad. So if you did notice, we did shift our T0 just a little bit. We're now counting down to 6:23 and 41 seconds Central Time. We shifted a little bit as we were working to finish clearing the range. We are monitoring sea and airspace, both here over the Gulf and in our splashdown location over on the Indian Ocean. We were working with the FAA, a lot of other international agencies to coordinate all of this. Good news, range is currently green. We're able to get everything out of the way that we are tracking in the Gulf. So weather status, I don't even really need to do. Not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful day. No probability of violation for launch at this point. We're not currently tracking any issues on the vehicle or the pad. You can see our fill levels are getting up there. We're almost completely done with our propellant loading. We've gone through all of our checkouts so far this morning, aligning our guidance, navigation, and control system, getting the vehicles ready for prop load, the farm. Everything has gone pretty smoothly so far. We got through our go, no-go for prop load. That happens at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes. We've been loading fuel and blocks on board the ship since about 53 minutes before launch. Boosters started just about 10 minutes after that. We continue loading prop until just around 3 minutes before liftoff. And then at that point, we'll be ready to go. So bottom line at the moment, we're looking real good. Again, 6:23 and 41 seconds Central Time is our target T0. So we're going to keep counting down.
It's like great news so far. Thank you, Dan. And we do say it repeatedly because it's important to understand, but these flight tests are all about the data. Data helps us build and fly faster until we're eventually ready to fly people and cargo at scale to Mars. That is our foundational mission and basically just the major inspiration for our work here every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Amanda. And our first missions to the Red Planet are just down the road, and we recently shared some exciting news. Starship cargo flights to the Martian surface for research, development, and exploratory missions begin in 2030, and we already have our first customer.
Yeah, exactly. Starship is open for business, and one of the first payloads will be provided by the Italian Space Agency. They recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the initial Starship missions that deliver customer payloads to Mars. In related news, Starship cargo flights to the surface of the Moon for research, development, and exploratory missions will start in 2028. So a ton of Starship activity to look forward to. And if you'd like to learn more about our mission to making humanity multiplanetary, go ahead and visit SpaceX.com/Mars. Okay, now as we get closer to launch, development continues down here at Starbase, Texas, to shape this growing city into a truly unique place to live and work. And part of being a city, particularly one surrounded by nature, is environmental stewardship. The nearby Boca Beach dunes have unfortunately been eroding at an alarming rate for some time, so SpaceX is